This series is being presented by Neighborhood Services team members, and we're members of the Planning and Code Administration Department. So we're going to walk you through a rental inspection. What we're going to do is cover different aspects of residential property, room by room. This is not a full comprehensive review of an inspection. We're covering the most common types of items that we come across in a residential unit. We don't want you to use this webinar as a checklist. This webinar is an advisory only. Each property owner is still responsible for being compliant with all the applicable codes in the city of Hagerstown. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to be going through and giving you what our thoughts are while conducting an inspection and examining these rooms. This is a better way for you to understand what the staff are inspecting during a rental inspection. And at the end of the webinar, we'll answer any of the questions that you may have as time allows. To ask questions, you can either tap or click on the Q&A button that you can see either on your screen if you're looking at a computer or on your actual monitor itself. And there you can just submit your question and let us know what your thoughts may be. If it's something specific for a rental property that you may have, please just go ahead and email us at codecompliance@hagerstownmd.org so that we're able to answer that question. But we're going to kind of open up to general questions at the end here. So again, like I said before, we're not here to listen to me talk. So today we're going to have Donnie Harcum that's going to be walking us through the inspection of a kitchen. Donnie is certified as a property maintenance inspector with the International Code Council. So Donnie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Paul. Like Paul said, my name is Donnie Harcum, and I'm a neighborhood services inspector for the city of Hagerstown. And we're going to go through the kitchen today and commonly look for items during our inspection. So the first thing we're doing when we go into the kitchen is to assess the overall situation. We're checking the overall condition. We want to make sure the floors are clean, smooth, and have a non-absorbent surface. We're making sure that all the tiles are in place and that all of the linoleum is tacked down properly. Next, we are checking out all of the walls and the ceilings. Make sure that there are no holes or any water damage on any of the ceiling tiles. And overall, the kitchen does not have to be spotless, but we do want it to be move-in ready, so when the tenant moves in, that they have a clean kitchen to walk into. And also we are checking for any rodent or insect infestation, so we'll look all around the crevices in the kitchen, check out all the cabinets, make sure there are no signs of infestation. All right, so we'll move on to the receptacle requirement for the kitchen. In the kitchen, we do require 2 receptacles in there. And one of those does not include the outlet that services the refrigerator. And we want to make sure that one receptacle services the countertop to avoid any extension cord use. And next, we want to make sure that the metal cased appliances like the refrigerator, a freezer, any microwaves, are served by a grounded receptacle. And as a side note, these appliances are not required to be in there for a rental unit, but if they are there at the time of inspection, we want to make sure that they are clean and operating correctly. So we're also assessing the condition of the receptacles themselves. We want to make sure that they're secure to the outlet box, make sure there are no burn marks, melted areas, or paint on the outlet, and if so, these will need to be replaced, and that does not require a permit. And we're also making sure that nothing is blocking the use of a plug in those outlets and that a faceplate is installed. And as Sean mentioned last week, as this is true in every room, we want to make sure there's no outlets above any electric baseboard heaters, and if so, those outlets will need to be moved. And we're also checking any receptacles that are within a 6-foot sphere of the kitchen sink. They have to be GFCI protected. All right, so now we'll move on to windows in the kitchen. All windows need to easily open and remain open on their own. If there is a small crack in the corner of a window, that's fine, it can be sealed. Anything larger than that, we would want the window to be replaced. We're also making sure there's no chipping and peeling paint around the window, making sure that it fits within the frame, and we're making sure the lock works. We're also checking to make sure that the window is weather tight and that there is a screen in the window. And if there are no windows, we are looking for an exterior door. Since a window or door is not required, the kitchen still needs to be properly vented by other means, such as that exterior door. You can also have an exhaust fan that is in good repair and that moves 100 cubic feet per minute. And most fans that you can buy these days do satisfy that 100 cubic feet requirement. Now, if the kitchen does have a door to the exterior, we want to make sure that it's weather tight, it fits within the frame, it latches, and that it has a lock. Now keep in mind, it cannot be a double keyed lock. And if it has a storm door, we want to make sure that it adheres to all of those same items. All right, we'll move on to the lighting fixtures in the kitchen. We want to make sure that there is a globe on the light. We want to make sure that all light bulbs are working because that is the only way that we can tell whether or not the light is functioning properly. And we are checking to see if there are any type of outlets in the light itself. If there are, that needs to be disabled to avoid use of extension cords. Now, believe it or not, a kitchen sink is required in the kitchen. It does have to provide hot and cold water. The hot water should be between 110 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The sink has to provide adequate water pressure, and all pipes are free from breaks and leaks. And we're checking underneath the sink as well to make sure all plumbing fixtures are attached properly, making sure the water drains properly, that there are no clogs, leaks, or any type of defects. Now, also we are checking for food prep within the kitchen. We want to make sure that we have 5.12 square feet of food prep area. For example, we could have a 22-inch deep counter that is at least 36 inches long, or a 26-inch deep counter that is at least 26 inches long. Those are just a few examples that would satisfy that requirement. And finally, we're checking to make sure that it is warm enough in the kitchen. Please do not use, we don't want to use our stove or oven to keep the kitchen warm. We need to have proper heat in the kitchen. We want to make sure that any baseboard heater or heating elements are in good repair and that it can maintain a temperature of 65 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so just to recap, we are checking for all of the surfaces, walls, ceilings, and overall cleanliness in the kitchen. We are checking the electrical components. We're checking all windows and doors in the kitchen. We're checking for proper lighting and proper ventilation. We're checking to make sure we have a sink. And we're making sure that we have proper food prep area and that we have proper heat within the kitchen. So that wraps up the kitchen. I will now pass it back to Paul.
All right, so thank you, Donnie, for taking us through the kitchen here. Donnie didn't cover every aspect that we may come across for any condition in the kitchen, but you know, because Hagerstown is such a unique town, and that's what makes it so great is that it's just each structure can be different, so we're not all cookie cutter. And our goal is just to give you a general overview of an inspection. And if there's a specific question that you may have for your particular property, again, you can always email us at codecompliance@hagerstownmd.org that we can answer those. Now we'll kind of open it up to any general questions that you may have. I see some have already come in so far, so please just continue to ask these questions. I'm going to ask a couple questions to Donnie that we generally get to kind of get the ball rolling here. So Donnie, if I have an outlet beside of a sink and it is not ground fault protected and it's within 6 feet, do I need what do I need to do with that? Do I need to get a permit to replace that outlet?
If it's an existing outlet, no, you do not need to get a permit to replace an existing outlet to change it over to a GFCI outlet.
Okay, so what if I didn't have any outlets servicing the countertop? Do I need to get a permit then to put in a new outlet?
Yes, any new outlets that are installed will need to have a permit.
Okay. And then, you know, Donnie might not have been paying attention to, well, I don't know if you mentioned about appliances or not here. Okay. Do I need to provide, as a landlord, do I need to provide the kitchen appliances for the tenants?
That is a common question, but no, you do not need to provide appliances in the kitchen. I mean, it would be nice to make sure all appliances are there, but no, they are not required. But if they are there at the time of inspection, we want to make sure that they are clean and operating correctly.
One of the questions that we got in here was about, you mentioned when you were pointing at the window there that I have to replace the window. Do I have to replace the whole window if there's a crack in it? Or can I replace just the pane of the glass?
Just the pane itself will be just fine.
Okay, and then also maybe could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on the 2 outlet requirement that's in a kitchen? I might have gotten a little lost on that one. Like I need 2 outlets, but what counts and what doesn't count as my 2 outlet requirement?
Okay, gotcha. So, like you said, we need 2 outlets in the kitchen. Now, say one of those is just for your refrigerator, and then you have one other outlet somewhere else. That one outlet for the refrigerator would not count as as part of your 2 outlet requirement. At that point, you would need an additional one.
So if I had an outlet over a heater, can I just eliminate that, or do I have to move that outlet because of the requirements?
We would like that to be moved.
Okay.
Yes.
And then one of the other questions that we got here is, what about the piping underneath of a sink? Does it need to be rigid? Can I use that flexible stuff that just connects into things, makes life easier for some of these old homes?
As it is easier, flex piping is not allowed in the city of Hagerstown. So.
Okay, and that seems like that's a lot of the questions that we got here. And then also, if you have any questions, feel free to always email us at codecompliance@hagerstownmd.org, where we can answer those questions. You know, I thank you all for being part of this webinar series. Please be sure to follow us on our social media platforms. We have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you search for PCAD Hagerstown, you can find us on any of those, and that's PCAD Hagerstown. And you can certainly find us. Again, thank you again for being part of this today. Please sign up for our next webinar, which will be Friday next week. On that one, we'll be covering basements, and an invite will go out to you later today. Thank you very much.